Good morning, Travels with Dottie here, and it is the 22nd day of July 2025. And we're going to cover a variety of topics today from the comments. And this video, RV Life After 65, I know there's more than one. I did a follow up one with a similar kind of thumbnail, but this one was published just a couple of days ago. And believe it or not, it's gotten so far 12,400 views, which, to put it in perspective, I'm ecstatic when a video gets 1,000 views. This has 12,400. I've gained 227 subscribers from that one video. It's pretty remarkable, the response to it. So I hit a nerve, hit a chord. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to pretty much stick to comments that are on this video. And it's going to raise a number of issues, which I'll talk about very gladly, enthusiastically. The first one's kind of a sad one, but I've ranked these or sorted these comments based on popularity. So this is a sad yet very popular comment from Louis, who said, "I just lost my faithful companion to a rattlesnake bite recently. He was already suffering through cancer treatment, so the snake was the death blow. He says, I turned 50 this year. I love Nomad life. I don't think I'll be including a pet anymore. I've unfortunately got some health matters of my own, and the reality is I may not be around very long, and I don't want to leave a pet behind." And I could certainly sympathize with that idea. The thought of me leaving Dottie behind is just breaks my heart. George too, of course, but I wouldn't trade it. And my hope for you, Louis, is that when the pain of this loss settles in a little bit more, you'll consider giving some joy in life to a rescue dog. And it happens that in nomad life, people pass on and leave their pets, but they're very often placed with very kind and loving other nomads. And chances are, it's almost for certain, if you're part of this nomad community, your pet will be taken care of. You should pass on before the pet. So I'm hoping in the future that doesn't stop you. Dottie is 10. I'll be very lucky if Dottie makes it to 15, and Dottie will someday pass away. And will I get another dog? Absolutely, I will get another dog. Dottie's my third. There will be a fourth, and God willing, maybe a fifth. So that's my hope for you, Louie. Idle Time Traveler says, this is a really popular one. It has 41 likes. I don't think I've ever seen a comment on my channel with that many likes. And Idle Time Traveler says, I joined the solo female nomadic life at age 63. I'll be 74 next month. So, hey, 11 years. She press that to the next sentence. 11 years on the road. Still doing my own maintenance, mostly, in hitching and unhitching, dumping, all the fun stuff. I'm an introvert, so I boondock about 98% of the time. Wouldn't trade this life for any other. What a great endorsement of some of the things I was trying to get across about how wonderful this life can be for many people. Wind Gypsy says, good to hear. I just turned 65 and retired. I'll be hitting the road in October. Hopefully I'm not too old. I am healthy and strong now. I want to stay that way. And healthy and strong, as I said in the sort of second iteration of the video, having the formula of being exposed to new experiences constantly, being in a position to have to problem solve frequently, and the socialization that's inherent in RV life. RVers, we stick together, especially full timers. And the last thing being, it's easy to connect to nature. And I think if you combine all those things together, that'll give you a healthier, longer life. I really believe that. It looks like Ralph P. Good for you. I'm about your age. I decided 30 years ago just to be a part-timer RVing, probably because I was a tent camper and backpacker for over 65 years, just me. And I want to remind everybody about this. There's a lot of ways full-time RV. If you have a base, I have a base now. And granted, it's a glorified RV spot with a little tiny house on it, but it's still a base place. And you can keep your home, keep your apartment, and use that as your base. And you can travel half, 50% of the time, 40%, 30%, 75%, 95%, whatever your sensibility is, and still be part of this wonderful community. So lots of ways to skin the cat. And she had actually 41 likes and two replies, one from Wind Gypsy. Good to hear. I just turned 65 and retired. I'll be hitting the road in October. Hopefully, I'm not too old. You're not. I am healthy and strong now and want to stay that way. Did I just read that? If I did, I'm sorry. And Ralph responded to her saying, good for you. I'm about your age. Okay. I'm reading these. I'm double reading these. There's upstate New York. This is from Let Freedom Reign. Upstate New York, yeah. Ever heard of Keene Valley, 36 miles north of Plattsburgh? Mere wilderness, 15 miles away. All right. So the next one with 10 likes is from Kara Aleri. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm 58 and still working, hopefully retiring in about 4 years. That's when I retired at 62. And I love finding channels like yours that gives me the confidence to start this lifestyle and older. Thank you. Kara, that's exactly what I did. When I was 58, I was watching these YouTube channels and RVer TV and Nomadic Fanatic and Campervan Kevin and many others. And I started doing a spreadsheet to what it's going to look like financially. And I think between the age of 58 and 62, I think I tweaked that spreadsheet every single day for those 4 years. It was fun for me, the planning. Oh, and we have a long comment with 17 likes from guess who? Pup Camper 58. Yeah. It's my buddy Cheryl. My dear friend, I could not have done a better video on RV life after 65 than the one you just put out. It was awesome. You hit every nail on the head, some of which I had to get tickled as I thought about all of us together this past winter, helping each other out, lifting things in and out of our trucks. Remember how devastated it was when I broke the cap to your Blue Boy because it was so heavy for me to lift out of the back of my truck. I should have asked for help, she says. I'm in my 8th year now as a full-time RVer. I was 67 when I started, and I turned 75 in January. But it was a lifelong dream of mine, and I absolutely have no regret. The friends I have made along the way are invaluable and are truly forever friends. The hardest part for us is having to say so long and see you down the road as we move on to our next adventure. Thank you for your kind words. Love and miss you. Kiss Princess Dottie on the nose for me. Just wonderful. She is taking. I like. Whoops. Sorry. Where was I? She was back east after we left Quartzsite. We traveled a little bit together, and she headed back east to spend some time with her mother and some friends. And she got talked into returning to a same campground that she's been camp hosting in for quite some time. And they talked her into, she's going to park there, I think, August 1st. and she's going to stay the whole winter as a camp host. And hopefully I'll get to see her again in the spring. Anyway, yeah, 75. And I talked about her in the video. She has 2 knee replacements. And I have this picture. I said in the video, I'll repeat it here, of her standing in the bed of her truck, and their knee, I think it's a little out of whack or stiff or something. She reaches down and just yanks at it and then just keeps going like a freight train. All right. Todd says, I'm 57 and about done with my stressful corporate job. Who can relate to being done with a stressful corporate job? I bought and this is, did I say Todd? Yeah, Todd. I bought an SUV last year, which I just paid off, and I've rented a couple of campers on Outdoorsy to see if I like it or not before I commit to buying one. I was going to retire at 63, but my job is just becoming an unbearable grind, and I'm bored stupid. That was my big complaint. I was bored in my corporate jobs. Oh, was I bored? I did well. I was treated well, and I loved the people I worked with, but the job bored me. I may be joining the ranks of you guys sooner rather than later. I hope so, Tut. Okay. Doug Johns. I'm 67. Been nomadic 100%. Nomadic 100% since COVID. I have downsized to just a van with a high roof. Makes everything easier when you don't have to move around and deal with a larger vehicle. I still own my motorhome, but haven't used it in years. Boy, I would like to experiment with the camper van to see if it would be possible for Dottie and I and George to live it's a smaller space than this. And you go to the grocery store, you have to break camp, but I think it's a lot easier in a camper van. So, Sirius Mac says, started out slowly at age 65, soon to be 67. I still do my own setup, breakdowns, and maintenance. I have a to-do list for when I break down. Right now, I have a property as my home base away from most people. I only travel about 5 times per year, which I plan for well in advance. Me too. Very similar, very similar. So let me count the times. I drove to Artesia, that's 1. Artesia to here, that's 2. Here back to Artesia, that's 3. And Artesia to Quartzsite, that's 4. So 4 times. Let's see. I only travel out 5 times per year, which I plan for well in advance, and I do 4. I've been doing 4. I'm a loner for the most part, but occasionally like to meet others for a bit of fun. I will say I love this life and I enjoy it more and more. I'm a loner for the most part, but occasionally like to meet others for a bit of fun. I think a lot of people love spending a lot of time alone, and that's okay. You do need to make some kind of connection, which is occasionally it's human nature, and it's good emotional fuel to interact with other people. Every community, even the smallest communities that I've been in, they have a senior center. And mostly most of them do lunches. So you don't know anybody, go to a community center in the closest little town. The community center, they will have a senior center. Get in there. Sit with some people, have some lunch. Tamara Lemon says, my cat considers me an employee. That's funny. All right. Chew Eagle Drones. 72, 8 years full-time. Great points. I'm still doing roof, but I see that not happening anymore soon. I have 18 grandchildren across the country. Best way for me to see them all. I send lots of postcards. So we talked about one of the drawbacks is, we're leaving home and I'm leaving the grandchildren. In this case, it can be the opposite. If you have grandchildren spread throughout the country and you become an RVer, you become a frequent visitor. to your kids and grandkids, and that can be fun. You can impose less by staying in your rig in a driveway. There's I think that's a great thing. I'm still doing. I talked like I don't do roof anymore. I do get on the roof occasionally. I try to avoid it because you're older, it is riskier. Certainly, a fall is way riskier. I fell off my RV, the RV I had before this, so it was more than 4 years ago. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. I fell off the roof and landed on my back on the hard ground, and I was certain I was injured. Nothing. I wasn't even sore. It was a miracle. Okay. Couple science work is a good friend of mine that I've camped with many times, and she's also a counselor on the road. Although she's younger than I am, so she has to do it pretty much full time. I just do a half to 3/4 of a day per week. That's it. But she's serious about it. She says easier takedown drive away is why I chose a Class C without slide outs. I am emphatic that I don't want slide outs. Not only expensive to repair, slide outs can have leaks. They can make it more likely to have to be fussy about what spots I camp in. And when it's time to go, I'm not having them makes it much easier. She she's had two Class Cs since I've known her. And the second one, it was hard for me to tell the difference between the two. But I have other, like Sally Forth has a Class C and she swears by a Class C. She does also she tows a vehicle. And there are a couple science works. The name of her thing is because she's a marriage counselor, but she's also a couple with a very nice man. And they have a tow car. They call it a toad. Let's see. Oranges, Hebert. Orange sherbet. Oranges Herbert. How about orange sherbet? Thrilled to find your channel. You answered so many questions. I've subscribed and we'll go back and watch previous videos. Wishing you safety and happiness along your travels. That's really nice. Cadence 9055 says it depends on what one wants and or needs. I hit the road March 2020 at age 60. Thought I'd go a few years, still loving it, maybe addicted to this laid back lifestyle. When I move, van lifer, I bring portable solar, pick up the step, close doors, put away a thing or two, lock drawers, give treats to the dog, start engine, done and dusted. Work out most basic, simple way I can do it. It also lets me move immediately when something weirds me out. It's preferences. I follow a lady who, after years in a van, moved into a scamp trailer. She's loving it. Thanks for sharing. Happy trails. Couple science is back. I've always liked to break camp the night before because I'm not a morning person and it's easier to get everything done the evening before. Like I was saying, I do days before, a couple of days before, I do a little bit at a time. So by the time my head hits the pillow the night before traveling, I am hooked to the hitch. Stabilizers are up. Almost everything's ready to go. There's very little to do in the morning. Let's see. Jan Cooper says, I just got my trailer and I'm 69. It's only 18 feet, very easy to tow. I plan to retire next year. I want to do a bit of traveling. I camped a lot when I was a kid with my parents. We always had a checklist, and the very last thing on the list was to scout the campsite to make sure nothing was left behind. I'm a single female looking forward to getting away as often as I can. I still haven't mastered backing it up yet. Neither have I. I stink at it. Secret, though. Don't tell anybody. Oh, let's see. Kwai Kwai Chang Caine. Is that that is the name of oh, what was that TV series in the 70s where the Chinese guy walked across the country and he was a kung fu, was it called kung fu? Oh, anyway, I think that's what his name was. Great video, sir, even though I'm not an RV guy, but it certainly applies to my sailing ambitions. I'm coming up on 65 very soon. So I replied to that and I gave him the Gone with the Wind's YouTube channel. They're a big channel. They're a couple and they started in an RV, full-time in an RV. And then they make the big transition with no prior experience. It's fascinating to watch it, to sailing. Now they are world sailors. They happen to be between boats right now. They had a very interesting thing where they bought they were into catamarans. They've had two of them. The second one they bought was really a really high-end, cutting-edge one, and things started going wrong with it, and the company ended up doing a buyback. So they're between boats right now. But I think sailing is a full-time, if you consider, let's just call a sailboat a floating RV. That's what it is, and that's what they do. Doing it with nothing is, I like that screen name. Interesting chat. Thanks. At 76, I try to make about 3 trips a year. Otherwise, I stay at the base here in Southwest Mississippi on the farm. Don't farm anymore, but I enjoy it as I allow a few other nomads to camp on the property. That's generous of you. Very generous. Yolanda. Okay, I'm going to try it. Yolanda Lara Cuente. How do I do? Yolanda Lara Cuente. I'm 65, single woman, and I'm thinking to move to a camper with my cat. I'm not scared to go solo. I'm just tired to be stuck at the same place for years. I really like your video, and I'll see you in the future. Yeah, I really don't like the thought of being in one place and having a little house or apartment and just spending the rest of my retirement years there. No, not for me. Some people, though, that's heaven. Let's not forget that. John Mills, CSLC. Wise and wonderful perspective, Rob. I feel you, brother. Thank you for being authentically you. Thanks for the kind words, Jim. Katie in New Hampshire. Hey, New Hampshire. I went to prep school in New Hampshire. Katie, if you're hearing this, it was the New Hampton School. And if you want to know where New Hampton is, even if you're in New Hampshire, exit 23. Yeah. Near where I spent summers with my family on Lake Winnipesaukee. It's only about 5 miles from Meredith, New Hampshire, where I worked in the summers, and the local grocery store was E.M. Heath. And if you're there now, you won't recognize that because it's since been sold by the Heath family. And I think it's still owned by a guy that when we were teenagers, we worked pretty much side by side together in the early mid 70s as a summer job working in that grocery store. And he was local, and I think he eventually bought the store. Oh, and I haven't even read her. I'm going on and on about New Hampshire and haven't read hers yet. Thank you so much for making this video. It gave me some new things to consider and helped me understand some things I'd been thinking about. Much appreciated. All right. TD Wilcox says at 69, I'm still hiking and tent camping, looking for a trailer this fall. As they say in the Indiana Jones movie, choose wisely. buying that trailer, choose wisely. I always recommend a professional RV inspector before you purchase anything, because things can look wonderful and be a disaster. Ooh, we have a long one here. It is Medravan Zion? Medravan Zion? Okay. My husband and I decided to walk across the United States when we were in our 20s. Holy moly. You dig? That's impressive. We were glad we got to live our dream while we were young, and sleeping on the ground wasn't a big deal. I'm 64 now and plan to live in my van at 65 and travel all over the U.S. I am not an introvert. Whoops. I'm not an introvert, but I've lived away from family and friends for the past 7 years, and I've adjusted to staying in touch through Skyping. I've never heard anyone else talk about setting up and breaking down the campsite in stages before, but I already knew that's how I'd do it. It was refreshing to hear someone that age range mention that's how they do it. I told my best friend this is my plan, and he wants to do it with me for a year. I was so stoked. He's contemplating on whether he wants to do it in his own van or we do it together in an RV. I'm good either way. PJ's Parks, thank you for sharing your experience, insightful tips, and encouragement around this lifestyle. I'm 63-year-old single female, set my sights on becoming a nomad. Please keep these videos coming. It helps to know I, too, can make my dream a reality. Love to Dottie and George. Happy trails. Yeah, that's what this is about. And I think that's why these couple of videos that I've marked, hey, this is for the over 65 crowd, have really struck a chord. It's, I think it's nice to hear, for people to hear from someone like me that is 65 and doing it and being pretty honest about it. There's, um, there's, there's certainly physical challenges and mental challenges to it that are easier to deal with when we're younger, but the trade-off is it's more worth it. Now, I just can't think of a lifestyle that I would love any more than this. Unless I was a billionaire, I'd probably be on a yacht with a crew and friends. 777 Cretbo. Great job touching on this. Super job covering some aspects of RVing as we age. Isn't that something? That is the thing. Let's see. Sue's Gotta Go says, great videos. I'm 70 and visiting Pacific Northwest this 6-month trip. Loving visiting Sandcastle competition in Long Beach, Washington this weekend. So true about change and forcing our introverted selves to get out. Thank you. Great reinforcement of what I was saying. Harold Lee Dye says, I'm a 70-year-old guy that became re-singled when I was 53. I work as a builder and a musician, but am choosing to live a good life, not in a house, but within a custom-made movable home, 8 by 18 by 8 feet height. I have it parked on property as well as my business vehicle and personal 4x4. I'm in Tennessee, about 4 hours to the Mississippi River or to the Atlantic Ocean. When I'm traveling, I just rent the van and then turn it back in when I return. That saves my own vehicles at wear and tear. Thanks for your video and good advice on wise living. Take care. Let's see. Bob Connor is one of my buddies, campmate from Quartzsite. She says 72 and still out here. Yeah, there's nothing that slows Barb down. Stuart Hochron. Nicely done. You presented a comprehensive review of the adaptations we need to make and, more importantly, prepare for as we age. Recommended for RVers of all ages. And Jim Mills gave me $10, $9.99. Thank you. Not necessarily to give me money like that, but it's certainly appreciated when you do. Pete Diaz says, the closer I get, the more I learn from you. You have a great way of explaining things, great information. Thank you, Pete. And I think Pete's the guy from Key West, a place I've always wanted to go. Very good advice. Bill Oden says, as the saying goes, person needs to know their limitations. Who said that? I'm thinking, what is it? Okay. It's easy enough to Google, but I'm not going to Google. I'm thinking Dirty Harry. Dirty Harry. That's my guess. The checklist is the key. And he capitalized the word key. My wife and I haul our living quarters horse trailer, and we inspect days in advance for everything from propane to groceries. Be prepared and check your insurance for roadside service for both truck and trailer. Happy trails, amigo. I love New Mexico and Arizona. AR Zoe, wonderfully helpful video. Would you consider posting your list? It's in the description. There's things on the list that are very personal to me, so it may not mean anything to you, but it gives you an idea of all the things I think about before I put that truck in gear and pull away. Let's see how we're about 30 minutes. We can go a little longer. Bill Riley says, I'm a 70-year-old single professional. I have a nice travel trailer rig and have been taking a month or two off and traveling, but not really more than putting my toe into it. I'm not an outgoing social person, and I think that holds me back from jumping in. I live in Florida and take my time off to go west and northwest and love it and would like to find the courage to jump into it. With my profession, I can work remotely and have my rig set up for it and have, as I've done in the past, so I could work or as many a few days a week as I'd like. So what's holding me back, right? I'm guessing change is losing control of what I know. My faith is a big part of my life, so not really a party person. I guess I'm worried about being more alone. I admire your reasoning skills to deal with these issues. Maybe one day, thanks for the inspiration. Okay. Let me say a couple things about that. These fears are real that he has, but the reality that I've experienced doesn't include some of these things. There are party people, right? And when, especially in Quartzsite, when there are thousands and thousands of us, the camps that are party camps, people will tell you and you'll figure it out real quick. And if that's your thing, that's where you camp. But that's not your thing, like it's not my thing. There are other places where you camp. And it says, my faith is a big part of my life. The other side of that, too, faith is a big part of a lot of nomads' life. Like I said, let me give you an example. Where I am here, I'm in Eagle Nest, New Mexico, a little village. I'm in an RV park, a very small RV park, and I'm actually technically not in it. I'm next to it. The gracious woman that runs the RV park and made a deal with me last year, and I get to park next to it's in a 1 acre lot. My site is literally an acre, and I have a great view of the lake, as you can see. That's the lake out there. Let's shift the focus. That's the lake out there. That's my view. So I'm very happy here. But I'm talking about faith. She goes to a church in Angel Fire, which she's invited me to go to, and I've gone to a few times. And she also, from these, there's a pastor from that church that does a Bible study here in the park every single Thursday all summer. And for example, in Quartzsite, in La Posa South, where all the dispersed camping is, they have a makeshift church every Sunday that they do in the desert there. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to tell you something you already know. You already know there's a church in every little town in this beautiful country that you will very likely be very welcome in. So your faith does not have to suffer for being on the road. It, it gives you connection with people, right? If you go to church, guess what? You're going to meet people. You're going to meet people that maybe think the same way that you do about a lot of things in life. And you're going to get a lot of variety in amazing experiences. All right. Salt, Salt Salt Life SS. I bet that's a sailor. 64 here and thinking about a camper van. Seems a little less work to keep moving and seeing the good old USA. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of advantages to having a camper van. I think I mentioned earlier. Just being on the open road and being able to pull in anywhere at any time. I love my truck and my trailer, but when I'm pulling this trailer, I'm pretty picky about where I pull off the road because I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to get into a place that it's difficult to get out of. And there are places like that restaurant looks really good, but I don't see anywhere reasonable I can park, so I don't go. But if I had a camper van, none of those things would be a thing. Oh, here's a good one from John Sherwin. Thank you. I greatly appreciate your insight. I'm nearly 80 and likely will be moving to a less urban part of Arizona soon for better winter weather and much lower living costs. I'm a little anxious about this as I know no one in my new town. I really enjoy your commentary on aging and independence and being introverted. Can you do more of these videos? They're enormous value to me, and it's possible for me to contact you outside of YouTube. So there's my email is in the description of my channel. And as far as people contacting me, like my cell phone and directly, that's hard. That's a big ask because I know I'm a small channel and less than 10,000 subscribers, but I get over 1 million views a year. And there are a lot of people wanting to reach out. And at some point, I have to say, I have to pick and choose and say no. And I just can't imagine doing that. So what I've done is I have these videos where I read your comments and it's a way of talking to you. And I do some communication by email. Now, if you send me a email that's 8 paragraphs and you want to engage in this long-term discussion, I probably will resist doing that. I won't ignore you, but I probably will resist doing that. People that want to meet, I did my first meetup in Quartzsite. It went very well last year. I'll do it again this year. And up here in Eagle Nest, if you happen to be in northern New Mexico near Eagle Nest, which is near Taos, there's a museum here in town, and I am the person manning the museum on Saturdays. And my hours vary, but if you want to be certain to catch me, come between noon and 3 p.m. or actually noon and 4 p.m. I'm gonna be there, and Dottie will be there as well. If you're introverted and you're nervous about meeting people, telling you the hard work is just showing up. You have to show up somewhere where there are other people, and places that restaurants and coffee shops often aren't very conducive to those connections. I don't know why. I found it. Laundromats, however, are. People chat quite openly in laundromats. Church, especially don't come early for the service and don't run off after the service. If religion's your thing, it's a great place to go. The other thing is I mentioned earlier, I'll mention it again, is senior centers. Every little town I've ever been in has a senior center or the equivalent. And believe me, you walk into a senior center in a little town, you're going to get attention because they're seeing the same people every day, and they see someone come in new. You'll probably get approached and talked to, and all you have to do is show up and be willing to smile and say hi, and let nature take its course. Renee Slater says, great video. We're 70 and 73, and we went to a seasonal. It has its perks, but it can get boring. We do the same thing as you, tearing down and setting up. I trust you that it can get boring. Hasn't happened to me yet. Greg Yows, great video. I'll be up there in a few weeks. I'm going to play a little show at Angel Nest. Come on over. And I replied to him, I hope you're listening to this, or read the reply, because I wanted to know when and where are you going to play. He's a talented musician, because I looked him up, and he's a singer, I think songwriter, musician out of Austin. And I said, when, where? I lived in Austin for a while. So I'd love to see this guy when he performs. Shelby. Keith, what a great video. Thank you for your wisdom and kind demeanor. I'm very part-time in my camper, single, 66 years old. So I understand a lot of what you're saying here, whether it's the advice about packing up, never rush the process. The financial stuff, I'm collecting Social Security, and the introvert extrovert differences, such good affirming stuff. The longest I've ever been out of my rig has been 2 months, and I look forward to doing longer trips in the future. Good for you. It's just another variation of how you can do this lifestyle. Let's see. I'm just reading through a few of them. Obviously, if I read every one of them, we're going to be here forever. Our problem, we will need to still work because we don't have retirement funds, but luckily I'm an accountant. My wife is a bookkeeper. Hopefully we can do that remotely. We also were thinking to stay longer at each stop so we don't need to spend so much gas. Absolutely a great strategy. And I'm going to put silent on here, because nothing's more annoying than watching a video and hearing that bing and then picking up your own phone and checking it because you think it's you. And you're like, can't that guy silence his phone when he's doing a video? Oh, Pam Scout 76 says, my dog is Dottie too. Hopefully both of us will be turning into nomads about a year from now. Let's see. $45.97 says, thank you. Just bought a new teardrop RV and a new tow vehicle at age 60. Is wondering what the heck I'm doing. Is if working full-time isn't exhausting enough. Thanks a million for sharing this video. Dr. Gill says, that's true. Physical strength for me. I'm in my 60s now. To the other day, I was moving my generator to the back of my truck that I've had for 10 years. I went to lift it like many times over the past years, and bam, I hit a wall lifting it up. Not once, but twice. I had to get my 30-something-year-old daughter to help me get that small generator in the back of the truck. I realized I'd gotten old and lost some major strength. 10 years earlier, I could lift that and damn near throw that small generator like nothing, but not today. And understanding, like the man said, know your limitations. Because I think you're lucky when you hit that wall that you didn't really hurt yourself and put yourself out of commission. There's no sense in taking chances. And I'm not big on giving health advice, but I do know a certain amount of strength training becomes even more important when you're in your 60s and later. And even if you take a couple of soup cans, I don't care. Just do something to get some resistance training. I have those rubber things that I do that stuff with when I remember to do it every morning. I didn't do it today. I got to remember to do it after I finish this. Casey says, what park are you staying in? We'll be at Angel File Resort next week for the month to get out of the Texas heat. I'm here at Weathers RV Park. But if you want to meet me, come to the museum, and I'll be there every Saturday, definitely from anywhere between noon and 4. And Dottie will be there as well. And Kathy Buckley says very wisely, nature, movement, and change plus problem solving. Yeah, those are the ingredients that will keep you young, I think. It's my personal opinion, not as a professional, personal opinion that being in nature, movement, change, moving from place to place, and problem solving, which you will need to do if you're going to be an RVer, keep us engaged and alive and happy and joyous and free. So anyway, I'm going to close with that because we're at 45 minutes. I think that's probably long enough for this video. What do you think? Take care, and we'll see you all on the next one. Bye.